Power begins the moment you stop expecting justice. The world is not a story, it's a marketplace of hungers. Everyone wants something: respect, validation, security, love, and most will trade their spine to get it. That's why they break. That's why they bleed. The one who cannot be manipulated is not the strongest. He is the one who needs nothing he cannot take or build. Dependence is the real enemy, not cruelty. Control that and you rise beyond reach. The deadliest weakness was never fear, it was attachment. The quiet addiction to being seen. The moment you care, the map to your destruction is drawn by your own hand. Machiavelli never searched for peace. He dissected it. He carved out every part of himself that could be used as leverage. He turned affection into armor and silence into a weapon no one could touch. Because feeling is a flare in the dark, it tells the hunters where to aim. Every insult is reconnaissance. Every pause is a probe. Every betrayal is a test to see if you'll bleed on command. Stop bleeding. Stop answering. Become the silence that unsettles the room. The man who governs his inner world wears no armor. His mind is the blade. His calm is the snare. His stillness, execution disguised as peace. This is not numbness. It's refinement by fire. You will cut away what trembles. You will burn what begs. When you learn this law, pain becomes static. Betrayal becomes irrelevant and loss just another offering to your evolution. When it's done, they'll search for your weakness. They'll find echoes. They'll find smoke. They'll find nothing. Somewhere in your life, someone taught you the wrong equation. That caring equals strength. That showing emotion proves depth. That vulnerability earns loyalty. They were lying not out of cruelty, but out of ignorance. Because what passes for compassion in this world is often just exposure. The more you feel in public, the easier you are to predict in private. Think about every time you were humiliated, dismissed, betrayed. It didn't happen because they overpowered you. It happened because they read you. They saw the flinch behind your calm, the hesitation behind your confidence. They used your own sensitivity as a weapon. You called it love. They called it leverage. Pain has an architecture. It's built from repetition. The same emotional patterns disguised as new people. Different faces, same script. You give, they take, you trust. They test, you react, they win. And every time you swear you'll learn, but learning never comes because emotion keeps writing the same story. Machiavelli understood what most never will. Emotions are not moral. They are mechanical. They exist to be observed, not obeyed. A ruler who reacts to insult loses the throne to mockery. A lover who reacts to distance loses the relationship to fear. Reaction is surrender disguised as honesty. Your weakness isn't that you feel, it's that you broadcast what you feel. The sigh, the pause, the nervous text, those are signals. And people trained by survival can read signals better than words. If you want to change the game, you don't fight the world. You close the broadcast. You stop giving the map away. From this moment on, you start collecting data instead of damage. When someone provokes you, don't defend, document. When someone withdraws, don't chase. Calculate. Every reaction you don't give returns power you didn't know you'd lost. You begin to see through the illusion. Most people don't want truth. They want advantage. They will call you cold, detached, distant. Let them. They're simply describing a person they can no longer control. This is where detachment begins. Not in hatred, but in awareness. You finally see the machinery of emotion, and you choose to step out of it. From here, the work starts to dismantle the need for recognition, to erase the addiction to reaction, to learn the quiet posture of the untouchable. Because the first step to immunity is simple. You stop letting the world decide when you bleed. A music detachment doesn't begin with calm, it begins with withdrawal. Not from people, but from performance. For years you've been acting, smiling when uneasy, arguing to be understood, apologizing to be accepted. You confuse visibility with connection. The world taught you that if you explain yourself enough, you'll be safe. But safety never came. Exhaustion did. Every justification was an unpaid debt to someone else's opinion. So now you stop explaining. You stop trying to be interpreted correctly. You let misunderstanding become your shield. Because the more they guess, the less they can reach. The first rule of detachment is silence. Not silence as absence, but silence as architecture. You use it to watch how others fill the void. Listen carefully. When there's quiet, truth leaks. People rush to fill silence with confession. Their tone, their tempo, their sudden comfort, it's data. You aren't withdrawing to hide. You're withdrawing to listen better. The second rule is neutral observation. You stop naming experiences as good or bad. You treat them as information. Someone insults you, record it. Someone betrays you, classify it. Someone praises you, mark it as motive. Each event becomes a piece of intelligence, not a wound. Emotion used to be your lens. Now it's your lab sample. The third rule, delay reaction. Reaction is currency and the world trades in it daily. Every social platform, every conversation, every argument runs on speed. Who flinches first? Who types first? Who apologizes first? When you delay reaction, you interrupt the market. You create time. And time is the throne of control. Let seconds stretch. Let people wonder if they've misjudged you. That hesitation you create inside them, that's leverage. They'll correct themselves before you ever speak. Rule 4. Calibrate distance. Detachment is not isolation. It's measurement. You don't disappear from the world. You move just far enough that nothing touches your core. You attend the meeting, but keep your power offline. You speak with charm, but no dependence. You love, but without worship. Think of it as emotional gravity. Everyone feels your pull, but no one reaches the center. That center belongs to you alone. Rule 5. Erase unnecessary empathy. Empathy without discernment is self-destruction. You used to absorb the moods of others, thinking it made you kind. It only made you porous. Now you choose what to absorb and what to observe. Someone's rage. Let it pass like weather. Someone's flattery. Note the bask in it. The world doesn't need another sponge. It needs a mirror. Reflect. Don't retain. Rule 6. Ritualize composure. Composure isn't natural. It's rehearsed. You build it the same way warriors built reflex. Repetition. Each morning, practice indifference in small ways. Ignore the unnecessary message. Breathe before answering. Walk slower than your impulse. Tiny acts of control become muscle memory for chaos. When real storms arrive, stillness will already be your default. Rule 7. Protect privacy like blood. Modern weakness begins with overexposure. You post emotions. You narrate pain. You invite spectators. Every confession is an instruction manual for manipulation. Detachment thrives in mystery. Let people see movement, never motive. Let them guess what fuels you. Because when they can't locate your heart, they stop aiming for it. At this stage, something strange happens. The noise of the world begins to dull. Insults sound rehearsed. Flattery feels scripted. You start noticing patterns. Loops of behavior that once consumed you now look mechanical. You aren't colder, you're clearer. You no longer swim in emotion. You walk on its surface. But detachment has a cost. You'll lose the illusion of being liked by everyone. You'll stop being the comfort for those who feed on your reactions. Let them call it distance. Let them call it pride. It's simply the absence of permission. Eventually, control becomes quiet. There's no performance left, only presence. You don't chase understanding. You radiate certainty. Your words shrink to essentials. Your eyes stop searching for confirmation. When people talk, you hear intention before sound. When they act, you see motive before motion. You have shifted from participant to observer, from prey to strategist. That is the mechanic of detachment, not escape but command. You aren't hiding from pain. You're redesigning where it lands. You build an interior so stable that the external world becomes weather, not fate. Rain if it must, storm if it will. You stay unmoved. By now, people will sense the change. They'll test you. Poke the armor, try to resurrect the old reactions. Smile. Let them perform their patterns. Respond only when it profits your purpose. Each time you refuse the bait, you forge another layer of iron inside your calm. Detachment was the clearing. Power is what you build on that silence. Once you stop reacting, people reveal themselves. They speak to fill your quiet. They confess to decode you. They try to earn the response that no longer exists. That hunger is your leverage. Control isn't taken. It's granted by those who crave attention you no longer give. The first law of power is presence without pursuit. You don't chase rooms, opportunities, or people. You create gravity. Your consistency, your stillness, your refusal to beg, that becomes a signal. The world adjusts to you because you are the fixed point in its rotation of chaos. Understand, attention is obedience. The moment they look for your reaction, they've admitted your importance. You don't give them the satisfaction of certainty. A glance, a pause, a delayed answer. These are your new negotiations. Every second you make them wait increases your value. The second law is precision. You spent years bleeding in paragraphs. Now you cut in sentences. Speak rarely, but when you do, aim for effect. Every word must move something. Fear, respect curiosity's silence. Never explain motives. Describe outcomes. Explanation humanizes. Prediction deifies. The third law, controlled unpredictability. Predictable people are programmable. A man who always forgives invites betrayal. A man who sometimes forgives, sometimes vanishes, terrifies. Power survives in the margin of uncertainty. Keep your patterns irregular. Let them wonder which version of you they'll meet. That doubt will discipline them better than rules ever could. The fourth law, emotional redirection. You don't kill emotion, you weaponize it. Anger becomes signal power. Sadness becomes analysis. Desire becomes strategy. Each feeling you master is an instrument. You decide when to play it and for whom. Those who can't read your emotions will overinterpret your silence, and that misreading is where control hides. The fifth law, selective exposure. Power thrives on mystery. Show fragments, never the frame. Reveal what benefits your narrative. Conceal what sustains it. The more they assume, the more they miscalculate. And miscalculation is currency. You can bankrupt entire egos with a single unanswered question. The sixth law, discipline in solitude. Most people decay in stillness, their minds cannibalize them. You train there. Silence becomes a forge. Each thought you refine alone strengthens the armor around your clarity. Solitude isn't loneliness. It's a laboratory where weakness dies and direction is engineered. When you re-merge, every move will look effortless because you rehearsed it in the dark. The seventh law, mercy as a mask. Power isn't cruelty, it's restraint. A predator who never eats in front of the pack commands more fear than one who feasts openly. Let them think you're kind. Let them mistake patience for softness. Mercy confuses the ambitious. It keeps them near, never sure if they're safe or studied. The eighth law, decisive endings. When something or someone no longer serves your design, end it cleanly. No drama, no warning. Closure is for the sentimental. You exit without echo, and your absence does the haunting. This teaches everyone watching what betrayal costs. The ninth law, internal monarchy. You are both king and kingdom. Your thoughts are citizens, your habits laws. Discipline means ruling that inner state with the same authority you project outward. Sleep when planned, speak when useful, move when profitable. Freedom without structure is drift. Power without order is decay. Every command you give yourself and obey cements the empire others will sense. By now, something irreversible has begun. The world that once overwhelmed you bends slightly when you walk. People moderate their tone before you answer. They measure words that used to cut you. It's not fear, it's calibration. They feel that you're no longer reactive matter, you're reflective surface. They can see themselves but never reach you. This is the discipline of power. To remain untouched while touching everything, to alter a room with presence alone, to guide without declaring, to punish without violence, to be everywhere spoken of but nowhere fully known. And when you reach this level, remember, real strength leaves no fingerprints. You'll move quietly through noise, influencing decisions you never attend, rearranging hierarchies with pauses, and watching chaos dissolve in your calm. That's how the invisible conquer. They rule without announcement. They win without motion. They walk through storms and remain perfectly dry. From here, you don't chase control. You are control, and the world sensing that begins to orbit your silence. By now, the noise has faded. You speak less. You think slower. You no longer run toward chaos. You watch it dissolve. That stillness you've built isn't peace. It's immunity. Every person you once feared losing was an unguarded entry point. Every emotion you once performed was a signal to be exploited. But you have sealed those gates now. And the silence surrounding you, it's not emptiness. It's pressure. A world once loud with distraction now bends beneath your quiet. Immunity doesn't mean you feel nothing. It means nothing decides for you. The immune man still bleeds, but his blood no longer calls predators. He walks through betrayal like through rain, aware of the weather, untouched by it. This is where most stop. They mistake distance for mastery, but true immunity is deeper. It's design. It's the point where emotion no longer controls meaning. The first principle of immunity. Interpretation is power. Pain doesn't define you. It obeys you. You choose what a loss means, what a rejection becomes, what silence signifies. A weaker mind reacts to pain. A sovereign one assigns it. If you decide that betrayal is information, it becomes education. If you decide that rejection is proof of misalignment, it becomes redirection. Immunity is the authority to rename what once ruled you. The second principle, containment. Emotion still arrives, but it reports to you now. You observe it, categorize it, then file it away. You don't broadcast, you don't confess, you contain. Because every secret you keep strengthens your autonomy, and every outburst you suppress stores voltage for strategy. The immune don't repress, they govern. The third principle, non-dependence. Most people mistake attachment for loyalty. They anchor their stability in others, partners, peers, validation. But immunity begins when you dismantle those anchors. You stop begging others to hold your peace for you. You stop letting affection set your mood. You stop granting approval the power to rewrite your identity. From now on, your worth is internal law, not external opinion. You are both the judge and the accused, and your verdict is final. The fourth principle, calculated compassion. Do not confuse immunity with cruelty. You still care, but strategically. Your empathy is rationed. Your kindness is precise. You give where it amplifies value, not where it empties you. Even warmth becomes a choice, not an instinct. That's how you keep control while remaining human. The fifth principle, equilibrium under fire. The immune man's calm is his weapon. Most are puppets to stimulus. Praise makes them loud. Threat makes them frantic. You stand still. You think while others react, and because you think you win. Control is never about domination. It's about duration. He who lasts longer dictates outcome. The sixth principle, invisible strength. True power doesn't announce itself. Noise betrays insecurity. So you vanish into composure. People begin to sense it before they see it. The quiet weight of someone who can't be moved. You don't need to prove. You don't even need to respond. Your restraint becomes legend. And legends don't argue, they're interpreted. The final principle, self-sufficiency of meaning. You have built a life that runs on internal current. You don't chase happiness, you generate it. You don't seek purpose. You are purpose expressed through discipline. This is the highest form of freedom. A state where the world can no longer trade your peace for its noise. By this point, people will call you unreadable, detached, different. They'll whisper that something in you changed. They're right. You stopped being material for their games. You stopped being reactive matter in someone else's chaos. You became the environment, unmoved, necessary, inescapable. And when they try to hurt you, they'll discover there's nowhere left to strike. Their words pass through air. Their silence loses its sting. Their betrayal finds no purchase because you are not the same creature they once wounded. You've become your own terrain. That's the law of immunity. No longer living at the mercy of weather you didn't choose. You design your storms. You choose when to rain, when to thunder, when to clear. You don't heal. You evolve into something that doesn't need healing. And one day, When the world tries to test you again, you'll feel the old trigger spark and go out like a match in water. No reaction, no pain, only awareness, only power. Because the man who cannot be moved cannot be manipulated, and the one who cannot be manipulated cannot be conquered. That is the end of weakness. That is the beginning of sovereignty. From this point forward, no one and nothing will ever touch you again. You've come through the noise, through the silence, through the cold. You've taken back what was stolen. Your reaction, your rhythm, your authority. Now, there is one truth left to understand. Power is not what you hold over others. Power is what no one holds over you. This is the code of the sovereign, the set of internal laws that replaces every rule the world tried to write inside you. Law 1, self-ownership. You own everything that happens inside you. Every thought, every surge, every fear. You stop outsourcing accountability to circumstance. The world can provoke you, but it cannot decide for you. You are responsible for interpretation, for meaning, for outcome. Freedom begins where blame ends. Law 2, emotional economy. You spend attention like currency. Every minute given to gossip, outrage, or insecurity is taxation on your focus. You stop financing the irrelevant. Your calm becomes your capital, your silence, your investment. Others exhaust themselves defending illusions. You build interest on stillness. Law 3, controlled access. Most people will never understand you. That's not your problem. It's your protection. They don't need access to your thoughts, your motives, or your energy. They can witness you but not wield you. The sovereign man lives in selective transparency, visible enough to inspire, hidden enough to survive. Law 4, ritualized isolation. Solitude is no longer punishment, it's maintenance. You retreat not to escape, but to recalibrate. The crowd corrupts rhythm, the noise blurs insight. So you pull away, not because you are alone, but because you are accurate. Clarity demands distance. Law 5, strategic connection. You no longer bond through emotion, you align through value. Every alliance serves a purpose. Intellectual, spiritual, tactical. You learn to distinguish loyalty from dependency, affection from use. Love becomes deliberate, friendship becomes design. Connection is chosen, not craved. Law 6, direction over desire. You stop chasing feelings, you started following frameworks. Desire burns out. Discipline endures. You no longer ask, do I feel like it? You ask, does it serve the empire I'm building? That shift from emotion to architecture separates dreamers from designers. Law 7, the art of non-response. The sovereign doesn't react. Reaction is the language of servants. You answer when it profits you. You ignore when it drains you. Your silence teaches lessons no argument could. When people realize they can no longer move you, they begin orbiting you, adjusting to your gravity, obeying your tempo. Law 8, the invisible hand. Influence is subtle. You don't force outcomes, you arrange circumstances. You speak in implications, not demands. You make others choose what you wanted all along. To them it feels like freedom. To you it's geometry. Law 9, mastery of ending. You end things when they expire. No dragging corpses of friendships, beliefs, or habits that served their term. A sovereign does not cling. He closes chapters quietly, and the world calls it mystery. Every goodbye becomes a ritual of refinement. Law 10, legacy and silence. You don't announce evolution. You let time report it. Your name travels through whispers, not noise. Your reputation becomes myth shaped by absence, because nothing echoes longer than a man who left no fingerprints. By now you see it clearly. The game was never about being loved or feared. It was about control. Control over your perception. Control over your choices. Control over how deep the world gets to reach. And when they test you again, and they will, you'll feel the old reflex rise, the pulse of anger, the ache of wanting to explain, and you'll watch it pass like a cloud crossing the sun. No rush, no collapse, just observation. That's when you'll know you've crossed the line between strength and sovereignty. You're no longer the man who reacts. You're the man who designs reaction in others. You no longer move through the world. It moves around you. You've stopped asking for peace. You've become the source of it, and peace born from power is permanent. That is the sovereign code. No one can give it to you. No one can take it from you. It begins and ends with you. So walk back into the noise. Carry the calm like a weapon. Speak less, watch more, and when the world tries again to wound you, let it swing at air. Because the truly untouchable don't hide from the storm. They stand where lightning falls and remain unburned. There comes a point when silence no longer feels empty. It feels earned. You've crossed that threshold. The noise that once commanded you has grown faint, powerless, irrelevant. What began as chaos became calculation. Every wound turned into wisdom. Every loss reshaped into leverage. What once shattered you now sharpens you. You no longer chase peace, you construct it. You don't look for validation, you radiate certainty. The world that used to bruise you now bends quietly to your rhythm. You learned that emotion is not your enemy, only your reflection out of order. So you realigned it. You built walls out of patience, foundations from refusal, armor from indifference. No rage, no pleading, no collapse, only command. You became a strategist of self, your energy a currency no one can counterfeit. Your silence, a language that bends conversations toward your intent. You stopped defending and started dictating. Every interaction now flows through a single question. Does it serve your equilibrium or does it cost it? If it costs, it dies where it stands. No drama, no closure, just elimination. You've reached the plane where presence replaces persuasion. Rooms adjust when you enter. Words slow down. Attention gravitates. And you don't even notice it anymore because control has become nature. You don't announce your growth. You demonstrate it through calm execution. The louder world performs, the quieter your dominance feels. That is how true strength survives. Unseen, inevitable, absolute. No longer does insult pierce because belief shields you. No longer does betrayal sting because foresight expected it. You no longer fall. You observe descent from above. In this state, affection is permission, not dependence. Trust is measured, not promised. Compassion is precise, never impulsive. You extend emotion as architecture, structured, selective, safe. What others call detachment, you call discipline. What they see as mystery, you know as mastery. Because your essence is now governed by choice, not reaction, not desire, not need. You are no longer part of the storm's story. You are its balance, its gravity, its silence between lightning strikes. The world keeps spinning. You remain the axis it revolves around. There is no finish line. Sovereignty isn't a destination, it's maintenance. Each morning you rebuild composure. Each night you polish restraint, and each breath confirms what the weak will never